and welcome to Lore Kid Entrepreneurship. My name is Ms. Paulas, and in this short revision session, we are going to be looking at Agriculture Paper 1, which was written on the year 2014 PSLE. And before we answer our question paper, firstly, it is important that you read all the instructions in your answer paper, and also please fill in your necessary details that is asked from you by the examiner. Let's look at some of the ways that questions appear in test or exam paper. When a question says state, it means that we have to clearly write something briefly without explaining. When a question says name, it means that we have to identify or list something, be it a place or a number. When a question says explain, it means that we have to give reason or to give effect or show the cause. For example, explain why irrigation is important to crop farming. Irrigation is important to crop farming because it provides water when there is no rain. And then when a question says discuss, it means that we have to talk about a topic in details. For example, discuss the advantages and disadvantages of using fertilizers. Advantages of using fertilizers is that they give nutrients to our plants, and then disadvantages of using fertilizers is that they can damage or lead to land pollution or water pollution when they are not handled properly. And when our land is polluted by those fertilizers, it means that our land is not good for crop farming. Now, let's begin with question 1. Question 1 says, state any two careers in agriculture. State any two careers in agriculture. This is a simple recall question. You are expected to mention two careers. That means two jobs someone can do within the agricultural sector. Our answer, they can become agricultural teacher or they can become veterinary assistant, whereby they're going to be taking care of those sick animals. Let's move to question 2. Question 2 says, study the diagram showing two types of fertilizer. Study the diagram below showing two types of fertilizer. And then the question says, complete the diagram by filling in the missing. So we have a diagram here. It is showing two types of fertilizers. And then we have to complete our diagram. But before we answer our question, we have to know what are fertilizers, what are organic fertilizers. So fertilizers, these are substances that provide nutrients to our plants. And then there are two types of fertilizers, which is organic fertilizer and inorganic fertilizer. Organic fertilizers, these are fertilizers that are natural. We get them from animals sometimes, like cow manure, like chicken manure. And then inorganic fertilizers, these are fertilizers that are man-made or they are artificial. For example, like nitrogen, like phosphorus. And then that's how we complete our diagram. With letter Y, it is inorganic fertilizer, and then with letter Z, it is cow manure or chicken manure. Basically, example of organic fertilizer. And then that's how you earn your full 2 marks. Let's move on to question 3 of our revision paper. Question 3 says, name any two types of plots. Name any two types of plots. This is also a direct question. Here, plots refers to land or area used in farming. Our answer is raised plot or second plot. That's how you earn your 2 marks. Let's move on to question 4 of our revision paper. It is important that you pay attention to the marks that are assigned to each question so that you know how much attention you are supposed to give to every question. So let's move to question 4 of our revision paper. Question 4 says, Read the discussion between farmer A and farmer B below. Farmer A, I want to produce maize, but I don't know how to do it. Farmer B, producing maize is very easy. I have done that for 25 years. But my problem is that I don't have enough money to expand my business. And then the question says, what advice can you give to farmer A and farmer B to help them solve their problem? This is also a short application question. Firstly, it is important that we look at the both farmers. Farmer A, I want to produce maize, but I don't know how. Farmer B, producing maize is easy, but I don't have the money or the loan to expand the business. So what advice can you give to both farmers? The answer: Farmer A should attend agricultural training or seek advice from extension officer to learn how to grow maize, while Farmer B can apply for loan from CEDA or National Development Bank to expand the business. It is important that you give your answer relevant to each farmer's problem. That's how you earn your full 2 marks. Let's move on to question 5 of our revision paper. Question 5 says, what can farmer do to make sloping land good for crop production? Please make sure that you read your question more than once so that you understand what your question is saying before you attempt to answer it. What can farmer do to make a sloping land good for crop production? This is also a direct question that is requiring solutions to a sloping land. Firstly, it is important that you know what is a sloping land. Sloping land is a rise or fall of the land surface. It means that our land is not flat. The other part is high, the other part is low. Our answer: plowing across the slope instead of plowing up or down the slope. And then also building ridges in our land. Let's move on to question 6 of our revision paper. Question 6 says, name 2 management activities that are carried out after harvesting in order to make vegetables attractive. I will repeat the question again. Name 2 management activities that are carried out after harvesting in order to make our vegetables attractive. This question is basically asking us the actions that one needs to carry out after harvesting so that our vegetables, they look appealing to our eyes. Our answer is that they can wash them to remove the dirty, and also they can sort them according to size. That's how you earn your 2 full marks. Let's go to question 7. Question 7 is saying, study the information below carefully. A farmer bought 10 bales of silage at 95 pula for 2 animals. The bales lasted for 2 days. How many bales of silage were eaten by 1 animal per day? How many bales of silage were eaten by 1 animal per day? Show your calculation. Okay, let me remove this from the board. Okay, let's read the question again. The question is saying, a farmer bought 10 bales of silage at 95 pula for 2 animals. The bales lasted for 2 days. How many bales of silage were eaten by 1 animal per day? Now, let's break the information provided above. There is a total silage purchase of 10 bales. Silage, 10 bales. And then there's number of animals. And then number of animals. And then there's duration. Silage duration, which is 2 days. And then our question was saying, how many bales of silage were eaten by one animal per day? Firstly, let's calculate the total amount of silage consumed per day. How do we calculate the total amount of silage consumed by day? We calculate the total amount of silage consumed by day by dividing our 10 silage of bags divided by our 2 days. So 2 divided by 10 is equals to 5 silage of 5. And now we have 2 animals, meaning that we have 2 animals that were sharing our bales. So we have to divide that 5 by 2. 2 divided by 5 is 2.5. Meaning that 2.5 of bales were eaten by one animal per day. That's how we get our 2 marks. Let's move on with question 8 of our revision paper. I believe that as we are discussing these things, you are taking notes, you are jotting down something so that later you refer with your teacher, you refer maybe with your textbook or whoever you will be revising with. Let's move on to question 8. Question 8 says, what can farmer do to make their vegetables to stay longer after harvesting? What can farmer do to make their vegetables to stay longer after harvesting? Basically, this question is asking us, what can farmer do to increase the lifespan of our vegetables? The answer, they can dry them or package them. Question 9 says, name one indigenous fruit tree in Botswana. Indigenous fruit trees, they are naturally found in the environment and they grow without the human introduction, no involvement of man. So the question is saying, name one indigenous fruit tree in Botswana. Our answer, Milo tree, Moretologa tree. And note that it is important. Don't just say Moretologa or Milo. You have to specify that it is a tree. That's how you earn your marks. Okay, let's move on to question 11. Question 11 says, answer all questions. Complete the table below by naming class of vegetables shown. We have a class of vegetables shown. Let me use the board. The question was saying, complete the table below by naming class of vegetables shown. Okay, we have vegetables in class. We have carrots and a dash. We have tomatoes. So we have to complete our table by naming the class of vegetables that the vegetables belong. Okay, class of first of all, before we attempt to answer our question, it is important that we know what are class of vegetables. Class of vegetables, they mean they are based on the part of the plant that we eat, be it a leaf or a root. Then our carrots, they are root vegetables. And then tomatoes, they are fruits vegetables. Root vegetables that they are root vegetables that they grow underground and they are the roots of a plant, while fruits, they grow from the flower of a plant and have seeds inside. That's how you earn your 2 marks. Carrots, they belong to root vegetables, while tomatoes, they belong to fruit vegetables. Okay, let's move on with question B. Question B says, state 3 nutritional value of vegetable soup. State 3 nutritional value of vegetable soup. Basically, this question is asking us the nutrients that we can get from eating vegetables. Our answer, they are source of vitamins, they are source of minerals, and they are source of carbohydrates. It is important to note that the question wants you to state clear, brief, and direct answer without you having to explain it. That's how you earn your full 3 marks. Okay, let's move on to question 12. Question 12 says, study the diagram below carefully. Study the diagram below carefully. Our question was saying, study the diagram below carefully. And then the question is saying, in which diagram was the fertilizer applied correctly? In which diagram was the fertilizer applied correctly? Before we begin or attempt to answer our question, we have to analyze what is happening in our diagram. In our diagram, we can see two farmers, farmer M and farmer N. What do we see from the farmer M? Farmer M, we can see that he's applying fertilizers directly to the maize leaves, while farmer N is applying fertilizers close to the plant roots. And then what is the disadvantage of applying fertilizers directly on our leaves or on the plant's leaves? Disadvantages of applying fertilizers on the plant's leaf is that fertilizers, they can burn the plants, they can burn the leaves. And then advantages of applying fertilizers close to the root crop is that it's going to be easy for the plant to absorb those fertilizers. Now back to our question. Our question is saying, in which diagram was the fertilizers applied correctly? Our answer is diagram N. Okay. Question B says, state the 3 reasons for your answer. Like we mentioned them when discussing or analyzing the picture. We said that because fertilizers applied close to the roots, they will easily be absorbed by the roots. And also because fertilizers are applied close to the roots, they will not burn the leaves. And also they're going to be reduced of nutrients loss. Okay, question C says, name 2 management activities that are carried out after applying fertilizers. Name 2 management activities that are carried out after applying fertilizers. So these are basically the actions or activities that are carried out after applying our fertilizers. Our answer, you can water them or cultivate. Why do we water? Water helps dissolve nutrients and minerals in the soil, while cultivating prevents fertilizers to be carried away by soil, by water or wind. That's how you earn your full 2 marks. Let's go to question 13. Question 13 says, the diagram below shows water poured into a funnel containing 2 different samples W and X. The water was allowed to flow into the flask for 5 minutes. And then our question says, name the soil type X. Name the soil type X. For us to be able to answer our question, we have to analyze what is happening in our picture. Okay, in flask, in water sample W, we can see that there is more water compared to soil sample X. It means that we have 2 different soils with different characteristics. And then with more water in the flask, it means that one characteristic of that soil is that it has loose particles, which makes it easy for water to pass through into the flask. And then characteristics, and then type of soil that has loose particles is sandy soil. And then with soil sample X, we can see that there is less water compared to soil sample W, meaning that one characteristic of soil sample X is that it has sticky particles, making it difficult for water to pass through into the flask, meaning that one type of soil that has sticky particles, it is clay soil. With that information, now we can go back and answer our question paper or our question. And then our question was saying, name the soil type X. It means that our soil type X is clay soil. Question B says, explain why you would choose soil type W instead of soil type X for growing a root crop. Explain why you would choose soil sample W instead of soil X for growing a root crop. Like we explained what is soil sample W. Soil sample W is clay soil. So what are characteristics of clay soil? This is what this question is basically asking, the characteristics of sandy soil. Now, the characteristics of sandy soil is that it has good drainage, which allow the water to reach and penetrate the roots, making it easy for root crop. And then the other answer is that because of the loose particles, roots move easily in the soil. Okay, let's move on to question 14. Question 14 says, study the picture below carefully. Study the picture below carefully. So we have a picture in our question paper. And then our question says, name the animal shown in the picture. Name the animal shown in the picture. Our answer is a cow, because from our picture, we can see that it is a cow. And then question B says, what is the cause of the condition that the animal is suffering from? What is the cause of the condition that the animal is suffering from? Before we explain the condition, we have to know the disease that our animal is suffering from. The disease is arthritis. That is the disease that our animal is suffering from. And then our answer is lack of nutrients or minerals. Let's move on to question C. Question C saying, give names of 3 breeds of cattle that a farmer can rear in order to supply BMC. Give 3 names of breeds of cattle that farmer can rear in order to supply BMC. In this question, it is very important to highlight that the examiner wants breeds of cattle that are kept specifically for meat production. Our answer is Brahman or Tswana. Question D says, give 3 ways in which the rearing of cattle can benefit a family apart from providing meat. In this question, it wants us to give the rewards or the profits of keeping cattle, excluding source of meat as an answer. Our answer is they can sell to make money, or source of meat, or source of hide or raw materials. This question was specifically asking for rewards of keeping cattle, excluding source of meat as an answer. Okay, let's move on to question E. Question E is saying, give 3 ways of treating sick animals. Give 3 ways of treating sick animals. Sick animals are animals that are suffering from a disease or they are unwell. The answer, you can administer the right drug or give them the antibiotics. The other answer is that you can isolate the sick animals to prevent the spread of disease to other animals. And then the other answer, you can provide clean water and high quality to boost or recover the immune system. It is important that you note that this question is saying general ways of treating sick animals, not specifically to a certain type of animal. So any general way of treating sick animal will be the correct answer. Let's move on with our revision question paper. Question 15 is saying, study the diagram below. And then it's saying complete the diagram below by drawing the missing soil layers. Our question saying complete the diagram below by drawing the missing soil layers. It means we are given a structure of a soil layer, but before we answer our question paper, what is the general name given to the soil layer? From our agricultural textbook, we know that the general name given to a soil layer is a soil profile. Now, what is soil profile? Soil profile is the vertical arrangement of soil layers from the soil surface down to the bedrock, from the soil surface down to the bedrock. And those layers, they are divided into divisions. We have the topsoil, we have the subsoil, we have the parent rock, and then we have the bedrock. And also there are names of those soil layers, which is known as the horizons. Topsoil is A horizon, subsoil is B horizon, and then parent rock is C horizon, and bedrock is D horizon. For us to be able to complete our diagram, we have to know the characteristics that we found in each and every soil layer. With topsoil, we know that it contains plants' food. That is the topsoil. And then with subsoil, we know that it has few plants' roots. It has few plants' roots. And then with parent rock or partly weather, we know that there are rocks. It contains rocks. There are rocks that are found in the parent rock. And then with the bedrock, it has big rocks which are not good for crop production or for planting our crops. And then that's how you should complete your diagram. And then that's how you earn your 3 marks. Please make sure that when you complete your diagram, you use a pencil. And then let's move on with question B. Question B is saying, what is the general name used for all the soil layers together? Because we already discussed about that where in our first, with question A, we know that the general name given to the soil layers together is called a soil profile. Okay, let's continue with question C. Question C is saying an area has topsoil which is 15 centimeter deep. 15 centimeter deep. Why is the area not suitable for growing fruit tree? You have to pinpoint that fruit tree, they have deep roots that need more soil depth that is more than 15 centimeter for easy absorption of water and nutrients. And then our answer is there, shallow root space, since fruit tree have deep root system that they will need more than 15 centimeter for them to grow. Okay, question 16 is saying, the bar chart below shows the number of tomato produced between the months of January and July in farm in Botswana. Name the type of record shown by the bar chart. Before we answer our question, firstly, what is record keeping? Record keeping means different documents that help farmers to track and manage various aspects of daily activities, whether it is tracking the number of workers worked or record of the sales made from farm products. Now, our question was saying, what is, name the type of record shown by the bar chart. The type of record that is shown by the bar chart is production record. That's how you earn your 1 mark. Question B is saying, what is the total number of boxes of tomato produced in March and April? We add the boxes of tomato produced in both March and April. The boxes of tomato that were produced in March is 100 and produced in April is 80. So 100 plus 80 the answer is 180. That's how you earn your 1 mark. Let's continue with question C of our revision paper. Question C is saying, why is the month of June showing the highest number of boxes of tomato? Give 3 reasons. Why is the month of June showing the highest number of tomatoes? Give 3 reasons. Basically, this question is asking us why mild winter is good for growing tomato. Our answer is that pest attack is very low during winter, and also there is mild or moderate temperature which is suitable for tomatoes, and lastly there is low moisture. Okay, question 17 is saying, study the diagram of a farm implement showing. The question is saying, name 2 ways in which implement S can benefit farmers. Before we answer this question, it's important that you know what is implement S and what is the function of implement S. Implement S is a planter, and the function of an implement of a planter or implement S is that it buries our seeds or it turns the soil upside down. Now our answer is a planter is used to bury seeds, and also another function is to turn the soil upside down. Note that it is important, if you are not sure about the name of implement S, you can write your name saying the function of implement S instead of a planter. Okay, let's move on to question B. Question B is saying, name a tool that can do the same work as implement R. Name a tool that can do the same work as implement R. From our diagram, implement R is the disc harrow, and one function of implement R is that it used to level our soil after we plant our crops. Now, what is the other implement or the other implement that can do the same work or that can do the same job as implement R? The other implement that can do the same job as implement R is a rake, and rake is our answer. Question C says, name any implement that a farmer can use before using implement R. Name any implement that a farmer can use before using implement R. Now from our pictures, what is implement R? Implement R is a disc harrow, and it is used to level our soil after we plant. And then now we are looking for implement that we can use before using implement R. Our answer is disc plow. Disc plow because disc plow breaks and turn is used when breaking up and turning over the soil to prepare it for planting. Now question D says, which implement can be used to plant and apply fertilizers at the same time? Which implement can be used to plant and apply fertilizers at the same time? The examiner wants you to state an implement that can be used for sowing seeds and also applying of fertilizers at the same time. That implement is called a planter or a seed and fertilizer distributor. That is all. Thank you for watching, and please join me for my next revision session, Lore Kid Entrepreneurship, Grooming Future Millionaires.